The time is 6:05. I'd like to call the meeting of the Kenosha County Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee to order and officially open our 2026 departmental budget review. Roll call for this evening. Chair Belsky is here, Vice Chair Franco.
Here.
Supervisor Gray.
Here.
Supervisor Garcia is excused. Supervisor Brookhouse.
Here.
Supervisor Carroll's excused. Supervisor Morrissey.
Here.
And Dylan Hood is here. Thank you. Are there any citizens' comments this evening? Any citizens' comments? Not seeing any. I will close citizens' comments. Is there any comments from supervisors? If not, I have comments for this evening. Tonight, we'll be reviewing and discussing the proposed budgets for the Sheriff's Office, Juvenile Intake Services, the District Attorney's Office, and the Clerk of Circuit Court. Together, these departments represent the backbone of Kenosha County's justice and public safety system. The work they do every single day, protecting our community, prosecuting crime, supporting victims, guiding youths, and ensuring fair and timely access to the courts reflects our shared commitment to both safety and justice. The 2026 budget proposals we have before us recognize the very real challenges these departments face. Rising costs in digital evidence storage and management, continued pressure on staffing and retention, technology modernization across law enforcement and the courts, and the ongoing need to balance accountability with compassion, especially for victims, families, and youth. For the Sheriff's Office, we'll hear about continued investments in personnel, training, and technology critical to maintaining public safety in jail operations. For juvenile intake, we'll review programs focused on prevention, diversion, and rehabilitation, helping young people find positive paths while reducing recidivism. The District Attorney's Office will outline how they are meeting rising digital workloads and addressing grant funding volatility while continuing to deliver essential services to victims of crime. And the Clerk of Circuit Court will present ongoing work to improve access, efficiency, and digital transformation within our court system. As a committee, our role tonight is to review each proposal thoughtfully, ask questions, clarify priorities, ensure these budgets reflect both fiscal responsibility and the resources required to maintain a strong justice system. I want to thank each department head and their teams for the preparation and collaboration that went into these proposals. We'll move through each department in order, allowing time for discussion, and then consider motions to forward immediately after their presentation. And then we'll consider those motions to forward to the Finance and Administration Committee and ultimately the Kenosha County Board for adoption. With that, let's begin with juvenile intake.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay.
I have a handout. It's only one page. Good evening, everyone. As I've done in previous years, I've provided all of you with a brief explanation with all the changes within my budget. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight, and thank you for that introduction. Starting at the top with the personnel appropriation unit, I'm recommending an increase of $21,675. County administration is projecting increases in all personnel line items within my budget, except for overtime and workers' compensation. The other professional services account covers costs related to the use of juvenile detention when youth are housed in non-programming general population beds. We've been able to stay well under budget the last several years due to a decrease in caseload volume, a decision to carry over remaining funds at year end. In 2025, the line item was originally budgeted at $350,000 and then modified to $613,000 with carryover funds. Through the first 9 months of this year, half of the modified budget has been used. With only 3 billing months remaining and taking into account trends in utilization, daily rates remaining steady at frequently used facilities, the availability of continued carryover, the budget team and I are recommending a $5,000 decrease in this line item. No new furniture is being requested for next year, therefore a $700 decrease in furniture and fixtures. The budget team is recommending a decrease of $1,200 in the public liability line item. And with regard to the secure detention revenue account, the 2024 year-end actual was a little higher than projected. So I'm requesting a $2,000 increase in that revenue line item for next year. In all, I am recommending a line item budget increase of $12,775. And that is all I have. I'd like to open it up for questions.
Does anybody have any questions? Supervisor Morrissey.
So it looks like you're believing you're gonna carry over 263,000. Where's that all from? It looks like there's a couple $100,000 from other professional services, that
It
260.
all stays within the same line item.
Okay,
So I think for the past 4 years, I've been carrying over unused funds. And it's helped me maintain my budget without having to come before the county board and request a levy increase. And that will be the same for next year. If I should run out of those carryover funds eventually, I will be asking for a substantial increase. Does that make sense?
yes and no, maybe for Barna then. So if I'm reading this right, there's 613,000 in the modified budget. You're projecting 500,000 is going to be used, which would leave 113,000. Is there other money that makes the 263 then? There's $150,000 somewhere else?
If I could comment on that, when I prepared the budget back in May and June,
Okay.
I projected 500,000. Summer was quieter than normal. First quarter of this year was very busy. And so I would bring, once I make that projection, it stays. I don't modify it. Does that help?
Based on what's over for the first 9 months.
Right. Now I'm saying we're in a good place. We only have 3 months left. There's probably going to be a similar carryover as there was last year.
So you don't modify the 500,000, which you estimated,
Once I submit it, I
Right.
don't modify it.
but the 263 is a modified number based on 9 months versus whenever you submitted it.
263 was actually what was carried over
25.
for the 25.
Yes.
Okay,
That's a hard number. But she's got 263,000 more this year on top of the previous budget. She's saying that for the first 9 months. She's anticipating.
right, which would have got her to the 613. And she's anticipating using the 500, but not anymore. Well, I guess what are you anticipating using then? If it's not the 500, because it doesn't show any carryover, but you're telling me there's gonna be some.
Through September, we've spent about 310,000.
Okay,
3 more months will get us, my guess is to write over 400,000. And the balance I'd request be carried over, but that, I won't know that number until I'm contacted by Barna or Matt, probably in February.
That's just forecasted revenue.
Correct. The other part of, without carryover, the other option that is available to me if I run out of money is there was a budget resolution a lot of years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, that if I am in a deficit at year end, money can be transferred between my budget and the Human Services placement budget if they have money remaining.
which they may not.
And we've gone back and forth. They've
Mhm.
taken some of my money and I've taken some of theirs, but last 4 years I've carried over all of my money.
So that's Plan B though.
Right.
Typically, we carry over year after year after year. But eventually, at some point, potentially, the only to receiving note that charge is much higher. Now, mitigating that by going to Washington County.
Right.
I don't know if this is for you or for Barnard, is there an across the board wage for employees?
3% of the midpoint. And a 2% wage adjustment. Wage ranges. 2%. That's included as part of it.
Except
Does anybody else have any questions or comments? I just would like to point out that there was an increase of 3.5% for personnel, a negative 1.4% for contractual, negative 12.6% for supplies, negative 21% for fixed charges. Really great job. Thank you very much. It's a tight budget and I hope you see that revenue come through.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to approve this budget to move forward?
so moved.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Youth and Governance? Any opposed? Motion carries. It will move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
She has a minute after.
You're on Malbeth?
Next, we'll have Clerk of Circuit Court.
Good evening. It's great to be here. I bring with you Chad Kirkman, our financial services manager, Bethany Lofgren, our register of probate, Brian Scheffler, and our accountant, Shannon Adamczyk as well too. They serve a big portion of why we're here tonight. So as you can tell, we have a pretty good reduction on the levy. And that's basically because of a significant increase in the court support grant resulting as from the legislature understanding that the state needs to be supporting our county courts. Our expenses are pretty much on par with where they were in the previous submission. Personnel went up $64,000, pretty much primarily because of that health insurance aspect. And so there's a small increase in our total expenses. Our revenues are up significantly, about a little over $200,000. Sounds all good, especially because of the court support grant, but there are some numbers in there that I'm concerned with. I voiced my concerns to when the final proposals were going to go out. One of my main ones is the bond defaults for the county, account number 445100. We're on target to collect $471,000 this year, and they're increasing it to $500,000. Up from my 410 projection last year. Bond defaults, we do collection efforts for people who default on their signature bonds. So if you're charged with a crime and you're released on a signature bond and you don't appear in court or you commit another crime, we will take action and try to collect on those signature bonds. There also, if you post cash bond and you do the same violations, we will take that money as well too. Again, a $90,000 increase over our anticipations last year are pretty, I think I'm kind of uncomfortable on that one and I want it to be brought forward because I don't think we'll be able to meet that expectation. I like that Barnett has faith in the circuit court that we always are able to pull this out at the end. But this year I am a little worried about these budget projections. The other one is on the court's admin revenue. We had budgeted 150 for this year. We're on target to collect 150 and we're increasing that by 30,000. Again, I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to come up with that. That is Advocate Council collections.
What number is that?
It's
445,600.
Thank you.
And then, yeah, so those are like the significant ones, but mostly that bond defaults. Another thing to take into consideration is, we do have a retiring judge. We will be having a reserve judge sitting in. I never know how they're going to rule on the defaults. If there are some times when it's not asked, or the judge could take it upon themselves, or the defendant could request that a previously forfeited bond be reinstated and applied to costs at the time of sentencing. Well, if we forfeited that bond back in 2023 and it's now reinstated at the time of sentencing, I have to come up with that money for this year too. So it's not just additions to that fund, it's also subtractions too. And not that that occurs often, it occurs more frequently than sometimes we like.
Mhm.
But it is one thing to take into consideration. So except for that, I believe, everything else in there is fairly reasonable. And I have a Go Becky signed by Barna on my desk. So.
You have do you track the forfeitures? Is that something that you keep track of? Like if you get requests that are coming in from older, do you know what those numbers look like? Or no?
Yes, we track it sometimes.
Uh-huh.
But it's because it's the negative to the account, but whether or not we tie it to a specific account,
Okay.
that takes some data dive. And sometimes we have that information depending on how we're presenting to you. And
What about interpreter's expense
the interpreter's expense
at
is
527,230? Because that's increased about 38%, $105,000.
Yeah, so interpreters were at a significant shortage. They have us over a barrel. They set their own rates. Some of them can be $400, $500 an hour plus mileage.
Mhm.
Long cancellation rates. So if I know you're in court a month from now, I'm working on making sure I have an interpreter available and the hearing gets adjourned, especially like in a trial or the trial settles. And I have you blocked for that amount of time. Even if I give you a week's notice, some interpreters have up to a 30, can have a 30-day cancellation fee where I'm responsible for full payment. At sometimes $300-$400 an hour, depending on the language.
Is that set by state legislature then?
No,
Those rates?
no, they're free market. It's free market, and Spanish interpreters were reimbursed at $40 an hour, and they can charge in excess of $100 with minimums. So I could have one hearing on for a day, and they're charging me for 4 hours.
Sounds like a task to work on.
Yeah. We don't know how to mitigate that. We are working with the director's office. The director's office is very concerned on the director of state court's office in Madison is very concerned about this. They're working at trying to curtail that level of free market, but I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, especially if they mandate that counties follow certain procedures in order to be eligible for reimbursement.
Sure.
It's that I think they could potentially be boycotted. But that's why the rise in that.
Okay. And then I see really good efficiencies and it probably contributes to lower usage, but doctor fees at minus 20, almost 27%, juror fees at almost 16%, and salary and overtime, 28%, minus 28%. So good job on efficiencies. Thank you very much. Open it up to the rest of the committee. Supervisor Franco.
Hi, yeah, you may have addressed this before. I'm just curious, what do you make of why bond defaults are going up?
It's collection activity and those forfeited signature bonds.
Mhm.
So as we work with SDC, they're collecting some of that money. We have a few judges who are letting us do wage assignments too.
Mhm.
So if, say you didn't appear early on in your case and a $500 signature bond was forfeited and the case continues to progress, we'll do a wage assignment to collect during that time period as well. So the wage assignments are helpful for those who are working. But SDC, I have a concern over their level. They're starting to kick back some debts as uncollectible. And so those are just gonna sit on my books because I don't ever get rid of any debt. I feel once you owe us, you should owe us for forever until you pay it off. But I think SDC is because of their restrictions on staffing, the number of agencies that they've added in over recent years and are trying to add in, their resources are being stretched. So I'm worried about the collection levels from them too. But it's, the
So-
bond default, it could be a $25,000 bond forfeiture too, that, because you didn't appear in court.
So if someone doesn't appear in court and they forfeit their bond and they owe X amount of dollars, it doesn't mean the court's gonna get that money initially. They could make payments on it and they may or may not make the payments. So it's not a guaranteed source of revenue, right?
In a signature bond.
On a signature
But
bond.
if someone posted $5,000 for you and you don't appear in court, we're gonna capture that $5,000 immediately.
Yeah, are most of the bonds signature bonds or cash bonds or? is there-
Because most cases are misdemeanors, yes.
Oh, it's a misdemeanor, it's a,
Versus felony, it's, I don't want to generically say I've never compiled it, but 50/50.
mhm.
That sounds about right. A lot of misdemeanors are signature bonds, and a lot of felonies can be a cash bond.
Thank you. Anything else, Supervisor Franco?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Supervisor Morrissey?
The very top line, the IVE revenue, what was that?
The 4E revenue was, had been a federal grant, through 4E to, reimburse the counties, for a certain portion of attorneys appointed to represent parents in juvenile CHIPS cases. And that's children in need of protective place, services. That grant got defunded earlier this year and we proceeded along that course where we weren't going to appoint on those cases. They refunded it and we're continuing on the course of action of not funding that.
Lost me after they refunded it, but you're not. So there is no money coming in for this grant, or there is?
Correct. There's no money that will be coming in because we didn't the courts, it's an all or none situation. And the efficiencies, and Judge Kirkman, he's in juvenile court, might add better insight into it. Having attorneys appointed for parents can add efficiencies to the system and not add efficiencies too. So,
No, I'm just more concerned. There is no funding that's coming, so the federal grant is gone and it's gonna be always gone, at least at this point.
unless we choose to reconsider that in the future.
You brought up the bond default. So what's the difference between 24 and 25? So I guess I would lean more towards, Barna in this case, and putting the 500,000. You were at 571,818 in 24. What has changed in 25 and 24 that has gone down? And you seem to have a big concern with the 500,000. Yet in 24, you were way over that. I mean, I look at trends when I do budgeting. Is there something there that would make you more concerned than we should be?
That year, there were two big cases.
Right, we had two, I want to say there was $100,000 bond that was forfeited in 2024.
Yeah.
I don't think we're sitting on any large bond like that either. Crystal Kaiser, Rittenhouse, those are the two that are popping into my head right away. Yeah.
I guess I don't know what records you have. I mean, I look at the trend and it would certainly look do you have 23? I mean, do you know where we were at in 23? Are we,
2023.
again, I mean, you seem concerned that this 500 may be way too much as a revenue, but for me to make a informed decision, I was looking at the trend and it didn't make any sense to me.
So there's two different ways you can look at the trend. On default line specifically, we analyze that, we kind of look as a 5-year kind of history look
Yep.
back.
So I'm guessing
There
you,
could be some, years in 22, 23 that were large dollar, but we also look at it in totality too. So if you look at the total projection for 2025 for revenue,
yeah, it's 471.
4 million. If you look at all the revenues together, 4 million. And next year, we know that we're gonna get 290,000 more for support grant. So what we're budgeting is even less than 290 plus what they're projecting for this year. Totality. So that's a good way to look at it.
I do have the history on our bond defaults, 301 in 2022, 463 in 2023, 571 in 2024, 410 for 25, budgeted 410, and we're at 471.
Thank you. I don't know. I think the 500 seems reasonable to me, so I
Okay,
don't, it's just my thought.
are there any other questions from supervisors? Supervisor Gray?
Having to do with grants. I think you mentioned the state for the first time is reimbursing where it hadn't before
At a higher level.
at a higher level. That guess that's what I was going for. Grants are unpredictable, of course, but what's your anticipation of what's going to happen in subsequent years regarding that?
So the court support grant, they call it a grant and it's more of funding. And what it is, it's a formula that the Director of State Courts has that gives you a base dollar amount by judge. And then an additional amount by population. It also includes interpreters and guardian ad litem reimbursement. So this magical formula that they have, that dollar amount, I'm relatively comfortable with as long as they don't change that formula too much. Or if they change one piece of the formula, they'll make up for the other piece. So
I guess that's my question. You anticipate it to be steady.
that particular one, yeah,
Okay.
yes. Those are kind of knowns. Like I said, the formula might tweak. But the original pot that the director's office has is going to be stagnant because that's set by the biennial.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that their funding formula is going to be a positive impact for us. I'm not holding my breath because again, that one of that pieces is that interpreter reimbursement. That's $30,000 of that dollar amount. So if we don't follow their recommendation to the letter, we might be out that 30,000. That would probably be one of the few wiggles.
Okay. Thank you.
And then last item is, way to go on, good job on looking at the levy, what the taxpayers will be contributing. Went from 1,794,000 approximately to 1,590,000. So good job. Thank
I
you.
can't take full credit, but I will tonight.
Supervisor Franco?
Just one question. What's the GAL reimbursement? What is
That's
that?
our guardian ad
Oh,
litem.
RDM ad litem. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Do we have a motion on the table?
So moved.
Second.
Youth and governance, how do you vote? Committee,
Aye.
any nay? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Next will be District Attorney Solis.
Pages,
It's after circuit.
oh, right after circuit?
I think so.
No.
No, before. Welcome.
67,
Thank you for having me. Good evening.
Okay. What's your turn? Good.
Okay. Floor is yours.
Okay, so looking at the budget, there's a change on the budget where it's 95,000. That would be line item It's my number. Data processing cost.
What is the account number?
It would be
521,400, but
400. Does it reflect the copy that you have? Does it reflect 95,477, or does it reflect a different number?
no, it says 82,000.
Okay, 82,476. Okay, I just wanted to correct that. So that's the correct number.
Oh, it just says 82 even.
82,000 even.
Ours does.
Yes.
Okay, so then that one would, so that's the biggest difference of the budget from last year, and obviously last year I wasn't part of the budget. So that is Exxon Justice. Exxon Justice is what allows us to be able to process our discovery. Also getting the body camera from the Kenosha Police Department. They moved to Exxon this year, and they're the ones that we get the most body camera or any other surveillance or footage from them. So that's the biggest one that sticks out. The other one is the expert witness for 20,000. We would ask if we could have that on a rolling basis. Expert witness fees are for like the medical examiner, or we need an expert witness for a certain expert in a certain case. So it's not something that's set that we're going to use. It's just more if we're going to go to trial, we need a medical examiner, then we have to get the one in Milwaukee and we have to pay him. So we would ask if we could keep that as on a rolling basis.
Just to clarify, so you're talking about 527,220, which is currently projected at $5,000?
Yes, 527,220, yes.
The expectation is that if there are surplus funds there, that we would carry over.
Okay,
326.
okay. From,
This year to next year.
okay, gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Any other major changes that we have no control over is medical insurance, I believe life insurance. As to our, revenue that we generate, majority of it's from, county ordinances. The other majority is from traffic ordinances or OWI ordinances that are sent to the county. I know the clerk of courts gets the credit for the bond forfeitures, but we do most of the legwork on those. I know she mentioned some big cases. She did mention the Crystal Kaiser case. That was actually back in March of 2025. The bond forfeiture on that was $77,558.09. That was a bond forfeiture that my office worked out with the attorney of the foundation that posted that bond. If not, they probably would have taken off with all the money. So we're able to at least to forfeit the 77,000 and keep that within the county. Other examples was, there was a group of cartel ring, about maybe 10 co-defendants. 3 of them posted $25,000. Well, 2 posted $25,000 cash bonds each, and 1 posted $500 cash bond. They haven't returned to court, so they either got deported, got sent somewhere else, but they haven't returned to court, so we forfeited those bonds. So I mean, we asked for a lot higher than what we got. So I just want to let the committee know that we do a lot of that legwork.
Mhm.
So this is my first budget, so
Sure.
I'm kind of glad you guys are somewhat patient with me,
So,
especially in Mr. Brookhouse.
so, for contractual, could you expand upon what the increase of the $110,000 is? Is this like a one-time increase? Is this like for, contracts for like expert witnesses or translators for contractual? Cause it's going from 252,000 to 336,000, which is about a 48% increase.
Which, account number is that?
It would be on the first, page. It would be on the first page where your personnel, contractual, supplies, fixed charges.
That's 82,000 of that is the data.
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah, 82,000, then what else is comprised of? So wait, so you're saying
So this 336,
252
That
and
is the 82,000, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah, so that's why I started off first with that, because I know that was gonna
Okay.
stick out right away.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, good. And then the next one I have is on the same page, total revenue for reporting unit. It's up to 714. So are these like grants, or do we know what the sources for the 714,000 is?
I-
Because I was trying to find it on the other pages.
It looks like program revenue and I-4E revenue, whatever that is.
So the 4E revenue is, that's the one from the state. I know the clerk of courts mentioned that, but this one goes towards reimbursing the county for the work that we do for CHIPS cases and TPRs.
Okay.
My understanding is that portion of the 4E revenue is still going to continue. It hasn't been cut or gutted. So my understanding is that it's still going to continue.
What's the program revenue? What is that?
The program revenue, that would be more like the deferred prosecution agreements. The revenue we bring in from those. So if someone goes into a DPA, usually it's like a $400 fee that would pay over time. They'll pay over the course of the prosecution. A lot of DPAs are within a year to 18 months. So $400 if as part of the revenue fee. It could be, I don't know, it could be, possession of THC. I know we don't do DPAs for that, but it could be a possession of THC. It could get charged as a criminal, misdemeanor, give them a deferred prosecution for like a year, stay out of trouble, do treatment, do some type of counseling. After the year is over, then the case either gets dismissed or they'll get a ordinance violation and they won't get a criminal, conviction. And I use THC because it popped into my head, but it's more cases. It could be like a misdemeanor battery, sometimes could be certain felonies. So that's where the program revenue comes from.
And then I owe you an apology because Supervisor Morrissey pointed out to you, I must have been getting tired when I was looking at this. But the 714 then is comprised of victim witness revenue, Wisconsin Victim Witness Program. There's nothing there, but then we have 266,000 for witness fees revenue, motor traffic fines, prosecution costs, etc. So it was all program expenses. I just didn't see it on the last page. So the 714 is spelled out for the revenue. So thank you for that, Supervisor Morrissey. I don't have any other questions. Go ahead, Supervisor Morrissey.
this might actually be for you, Barney, I'm not sure, maybe for you, DA. Under the, let's just go to the victim witness revenue. For 6 months, we had 0. You have the total, which is equal to what your 25 of that budget amount is. And I'm gonna ask the same question when it comes to motor traffic fines and county ordinance fines. There's nothing in there for the 6 month. Is this something that's done at the end of the year as a overall?
Correct.
Okay, so at this point in the budget process, you just use the budgeted number, hoping that they're collecting the same amount of fines and fees, because again, there's just nothing listed.
We could track that.
Okay.
See where they are compared to prior years. And then that allocation is done between district attorney, circuit court, and sheriff based on those revenues and based on the projection where we are.
I don't know that I saw in any other budget where there wasn't a 6 month allocation. I just wonder if there's something at the end, but maybe there was. But basically, you just take the current budget amount and hope that it's the
Based on the projection and the allocation.
So there's no way to get
projecting
an
based on
actual
something.
then. So
You'll get an actual next year at the end of the year, but
Right,
But we don't
there's
get an
something you're
act-
basing the projection on, I guess is what I'm asking, right?
yeah.
Okay.
we don't get an actual the first 6 months.
Doesn't get allocated to actually after the calendar year.
Right. I presume that's what it,
Okay.
and just so I understood, the 20,000 you were talking about under the, expert witness, that's, you had budgeted 25,000 in 25, you're anticipating using 4,000. So the 20,000 that the DA was talking about is the 20,000 you want to potentially carry over, right? So when you were talking about the
Yeah.
25,000, that's just the carryover from 25.
Correct.
That's all.
I just want like it as a rolling base, but carry it over.
I just want to make sure it was coming from the current year budget. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you. Any other supervisors? I'll just point out that expenses are up 6.1% and the levies up 8.5%. So other than that, everything looks pretty good. Is there a motion on the floor?
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Youth and governance, how do you vote?
Aye.
Committee?
Aye.
Any nay? Motion passes unanimously. Your budget will move forward. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
You go to finance committee next, correct? Or
Right.
closer to four. Finance.
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Next, we have the sheriff's office.
And what page is that? How many pages?
55.
Ah.
We're around here somewhere. We're out there screaming.
Oh, it's a seat I'm sure.
It's very exciting.
Okay, I really feel the need to say, I'm sorry, there's no food. I promised food. I don't know what happened to our vendor. I prepaid. So let's just hope that nothing happened to her personally. But once I get the food, you guys will be the first to get it. With that, Sheriff, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
You mind if I just pass this
Oh,
handout?
please. Absolutely.
I don't know. I'm just giving you a big chunk on it. Thank you.
You want?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I took like 5 of them.
Yeah, I'll take one.
One.
So Barney can see what we're doing.
I don't have it.
Give me one.
Here you go.
Supervisor.
Thank you all very much for having us. Again, I'd like to keep what Mary Byers said. Thank you very much for the introduction when we started. It was very fantastic. We definitely touched on some of those items. As you discussed, we have a tentative agreement with the Deputy Sheriff Association as part of this, one of the budget drivers. Enforcement's, our enforcement efforts are going great. Our budget contracts are all going well. They're, as you know, they're very carefully monitored. We've been doing a lot of succession planning simultaneously with our budget planning. There are several promotions made today. I'm working very tight order to make sure that the future of the agency is intact. I'm sure you're all over it. I'm capitalizing training opportunities I've addressed this many times. Kind of cross training one another to make sure that we're ready for the very technologically advanced crime investigations that we do. In the budget is the operation study for our efficiencies. I'm looking forward to that. And one of the things that we're not unique, we talk a lot about grants and other presentations. Right now with the government shutdown, we've been in contact with HIDA and with U.S. Marshal contracts. And as you know, they're not paying us right now, but we're sure that's
we let that right back up. So, we're continuing to enjoy working those manners. The sheet that we handed out to you is, a primary budget, movement in any direction. Our fiscal year 26 budget proposal, $43.5 million, represents a 9.8% increase from fiscal year 25. The operating expenditures are increasing just under 6%, $2.9 million, from our 25 adopted budget. And our revenue is decreasing 10.31% from the adopted budget. The next page, there's a broken down there
You want me to take the wheel?
for the budget driver. Well, if you want to.
Okay. So the next page, what it'll do is it'll take you, now this first page comparison is 25 adopted budget to what we're proposing in 26. So that's what all of these numbers will represent. So this next page, so page 2, this is gonna take us through, each of the areas and what's really the big things driving the variances. So personnel, we have a,
Let me ask, how would you like to handle this? So should we review personnel, see if there's any questions at that time so you can answer them, and then we'll go to the next one? Let's do that.
Yeah. So our personnel is going up 1.8 million. 900,000 of that is our increases for salaries, benefits, workers' comp. And it also does reflect the updated, rates for the tentative agreement. And it includes, it's partially offset by a reduction of 8.6 of our, kitchen staff.
Our contract.
For the, yeah, with our earmark. And then we also have a $900,000 increase in overtime. That increase is to align with our historical trends, of what our overtime has been. It's not quite where we know it has been, but it's closing that gap and just, making it more in line with how our actuals have been coming in. And then it also includes 100,000 for backfill OT for our officer wellness program. And then just a note that we're not requesting any new FTEs.
There are questions on this section? Yes.
For the reduction of 8.6 kitchen staff, I would imagine that a lot of that, money saved is just gonna be transferred over into the contractual, right, which is gone.
It is, and
That
it's,
is correct.
So in dollars, what do we save by not having 8.6 on staff
It's
versus what?
minimal. So honestly, when you look at it, it was about $25,000 to $30,000 a year.
It's break even situation.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
thank you.
Any other questions on personnel?
So next we have contractual services, so that is going up about 20.6%. In terms of dollars, about $1 million. 700,000 of that is an increase in our medical provider costs, and that does reflect our contract rate for year 2 with Vital Core. We also have $160,000 that we included this year for our CDOG grant. And that is obviously, like, when we built this into the budget, there is a revenue line that offsets this. But it is a grant historically over the last 4 to 5 years that we've gotten. So we built it into the budget this year, since we already know that we'll receive that. So that's included. And then about $150,000 we went up in contractual services for our officer wellness program. So it is included in that line as well.
Any questions on contractual services?
Supplies. So this is where our earmark contract lies, today. I'm sure we'll discuss if it should land in contractual, but, for the ease of budgeting and, reporting for this year, we have it just rolling up into our food line, just because this year's budget was sitting there. And so the increase for Aramark, which again is being offset by the favorability we'd see in personnel, is included there. And then we also have a $200,000 decrease in our pharmaceutical expenses. We'll say, what did we call it? Cautiously optimistic on that one. I think we started that agreement April 1st. So we've had a handful of bills from them. So at the time we built the budget, we were basing it off about a $30,000 a month run rate, which is the best we have at this point. So that's something we'll have to monitor and flag if we see any kind of increases in that line. And again, that one also is all based on what kind of population, inmate population.
And how healthy
we
the
have.
population is.
Correct.
Some of the inmates have very expensive medical issues.
And then we also have about $100,000 decrease, in equipment, and that's just due to, we went through and, really scrubbed that line and discovered that there were some items, working with central finance that we had the opportunity to capitalize. So we felt it made more sense there, so that there's a slight decrease from that.
Okay, I'm going to jump back to contractual, then I'll
Sure.
go into supplies. But for contractual, for medical and dental, are you reviewing the current contract? Because we're 1.83 million more forecasted for 2026, which is almost 4.5% increase. So is that medical and dental contract under review? Because that's considerably high.
That is Vital Core. So Vital Core was significantly higher than what we had
Okay.
before. So
Okay.
that is representative of the actual contractual obligation for year 2 that we do have to pay.
Okay, and then for other professional services, we've gone up, $181,000.
Mhm.
What are the other professional services that are covered?
So the reason for the increase is, of course, the officer wellness program. And then also in there, we have things like WCS, which you'll recall, I think they were here in September
Mhm.
and presented. So their services are included in there. We have, I'm just looking at what are the bigger ones. We have our alert sense.
It might be good to highlight those, as a line item.
Yeah, but it's primarily going to be WCS and the officer wellness is going to be the biggest dollars in that bucket.
And then I noticed you're flat or under budget for telecommunications and motor vehicle maintenance.
Correct. So motor vehicle maintenance, you'll notice in 2024, we were trending closer to like that 35,000. Our budget did increase in 2025. Right now, we're saying we'll spend about that. We had a couple one-time things that did happen in 25 that we wouldn't expect to repeat in 26. So we did bring that down slightly.
Okay, and then for supplies, pharmaceuticals, it looks like we're really budgeting under like 170,000.
So you're talking about
The
the,
actuals, yeah, are 567. So
that's
account.
correct.
five-
So sorry to
Go ahead.
interrupt. So, this was also includes a partial year at using Vital Core.
Okay, so it's
Um,
all impacted by that GE
correct.
contract. Okay.
Correct. So Vital Core was managing all the pharmaceuticals through them. Now we've separated that with Vital Core and we actually are using a Diamond Pharmacy.
Okay,
And that's, so like I said, we've been seeing about a $30,000 a month run rate. Hopefully that's what we continue to see, but the reason for the larger amount in 25 is mostly because we had partial year with NAPCare.
and then of course, the food and groceries, it's
Mhm.
really doubled. And I would imagine that's because you're housing more inmates or detention.
No, so-
detention, or is
There's
it-
actually an explanation, but we
Yeah,
are.
Go ahead.
That's not incorrect, but
Okay,
that you're
Over this-
correct on that point for sure,
Okay.
right? But that line is where the earmark contract's sitting. So that's where the reduction of the 8.6 FTEs in our personnel, that favorability kind of, you have to bring them together. So they're reported in two different areas here,
Okay,
but you should think of them kind of net of each other. So it's not that the costs double, it's just the favorability you're seeing kind of buried in your salary line.
Took a long time to explain it.
I know,
yeah, well, cause
It
you
gets
look at it and
confusing.
it's like, why is it doubled?
yeah, it gets
So-
confusing, but.
Okay,
But that's what that primarily is, but you have a good point on, the inmate population because our contract with Aramark is based on population, right? So,
and do we forecast, I mean, my understanding is we forecasted under. We're currently over what we forecasted.
We are, that's correct. We're hoping that it comes back down, but we've been about 750, low sevens to 750 steady.
Okay,
That's an increase.
yeah, so our budget.
Monday mornings are always crazy numbers because over the weekend or holiday weekend, but typically we're gonna be in that mid sevens.
And our budget assumes about 650,
okay.
700 inmates. So when we're over that number, you know,
And then the last one I have, cause it's it's a 62% increase. $18,000 above is ammunition. Is there a strategy?
Well, the ammunition costs, we discussed it in the past.
Yeah.
That had gone down because we had a bulk of ammunition. We had bought more with, I don't remember the funds, but we had funds available, those grant funds, what have you. And we bought a bulk of surplus ammunition because we had a really good deal on it. And we had since used that up and now we're trying to restock the ammunition.
Okay, so it just appears, so it was probably offset last year.
100%.
Okay. That's all I have on those two items. Does anybody else have any questions, comments? Okay, thank you. You can go on to the next.
our fixed charges are going up about 24% or $100,000. And that's primarily in our public liability insurance. I think, Lorna, that's just like a distribution, right?
Yeah, so it's an application that we do countywide. So 2 years ago, we did a review with an actuary of how we allocate that out. That analysis showed that more should be allocated to the law enforcement insurance department. So we didn't do it all in one chunk, we were phasing it in.
So there's a deductible strategy that you're gonna employ?
Well, I mean, it's the cost of the cost, how you allocate it, it's the departments, still
Okay.
see.
Questions, comments?
All right, so up next on the next page is our revenues line. So we are anticipating there a 10.3% decrease or change of about 100 or about $1 million. The primary driver of that is the reduction in revenue expectations from U.S. Marshals from our federal inmates. Originally in 2025, the budget assumed that we would have basically maintain a run rate of 50. We're seeing something closer to, like when we look at our fiscal year to date number, about 30. The first 3 months of the year for us were pretty low. We've since seen an increase, probably starting in about the April timeframe, and we've maintained a level of about 33 to 34. So this reduction to the 35 is a little more realistic of what we think we can achieve in 26. And again, something we'll have to monitor. It's completely dependent on the fund our way.
What are you getting paid per inmate? Federal inmate?
I renegotiated the contract with Marshals last year and we are 105 a day. It's as high as they can possibly give us. It took a long time to do that because they were trying to lowball us a lot.
And how many inmates, or how many, see, federal, so you only have about 30 or so federal inmates,
Well,
or give or take a few?
Yeah, we've
We're
been,
between 32 and 35. Yeah,
Okay.
we have that set.
Okay, and so, but we have an increase of 300,000-ish from last year, so you're expecting more, is that?
It was a significant decrease from last year.
I have the numbers here,
Went from
the projected, well, these are projected numbers, so projected numbers at the end of the year is 1.1 million, and for projected numbers for 2026 is 1.4. So that's the number going up, so I assume you're expecting more or less. You don't really know because the federal government we're in a shutdown anyway, so you don't know so that's kind of a mood issue, I suppose. Okay, well, you can yield for the moment.
No,
any
proceed.
other, okay.
Yeah, good.
The next item is, a reduction of about 300,000 in ARPA revenue benefits that we were seeing that are ceasing in 26. We have about a 200,000 reduction in our extended supervision revenue line, and that was reduced based on the trends that we've been seeing. So we did bring that down slightly. And then we do have about a $200,000 increase in our law enforcement contracts. And it does include the salary increases from the tentative agreement. That number you're gonna think, wow, that's a big increase. It's a little bit, so there's some timing with when the contracts are approved versus when they actually get into the budget. So what we ended up getting last year was slightly higher than what we had in budget, so it looks a little inflated. So you'll notice in that one that will actually achieve more than budget this year. So even though it's 200,000, that's not really how much the contracts are going up year over year. Looks that way when it's a little bit artificially input. And then capital, I don't know if anyone had any questions on that one before I move on. Okay. Capital outlay for 26, we are showing about a 32% decrease. That's primarily just due to the squad vehicle order pause as we address our upfitting backlog for the year. That was the biggest driver.
Does anybody have questions on any of the capital projects? Supervisor Rico? No. So I have some general questions with regard to I thought I would ask it before Chairman Gens asks it. So what measures are being implemented to reduce overtime? What measures are being implemented to reduce overtime or to ensure that you maintain your budget thresholds?
Well, they are always with me looking at the overtime, continually. So we scrutinize what we're doing. We're not doing extra things to the community per se. We get deputy sheriffs to flex their hours where possible. We scrutinize what's going on in advance. I mean, obviously, we have always had growing responsibilities in the courts. Judge isn't here anymore, but that's grown, over the last several years. So we're doing everything that we can in regards to that and not being frivolous with it and scrutinizing everything that we do. So it's the overtime is always going to be there because we have to backfill for vacations, things of that nature. But that's what we're doing.
And then I noticed it said that there's a 200,000 increase. I see 150,000 increase for the contracts for the law enforcement village contracts. And you have 200,000. So, reading that indirectly.
Or unless I typed the wrong.
And I very well could be. Not a big deal, but at this point, because I do appreciate Captain Klinkhammer's call today, that he is working on the report so that we can actually see what's been contracted with the villages versus what we're actually spending to make sure we have those lined up. And I think that'll contribute significantly to reducing our levy. The other thing I want to just comment on is technology costs. We should track that separately for data storage and maintenance. That's going to be a big deal over the next 5 years. And I think we should look at implementation of like a cross-agency digital evidence cost plan so that it's between the DA, the Sheriff's Department, Joint Services, so that we're not in silos paying for this stuff, so that, you know, when the DA needs to look at evidence or Joint Services, that we're under one contract and we're all working as one to make it a little more efficient versus silo. And then I'll be talking with, commenting on IT's budget because that impacts you considerably as well. But those are the comments I have essentially for the Sheriff's Department. Anything from you, Supervisor Morrissey?
No, I just roughly did it. I think there's about 190,000 increase in the law enforcement
Okay,
things there,
for
but
village?
no, I reached out to the sheriff with all of my questions and he was gracious to answer those, and everything that I asked him was answered and by you guys, so no, I appreciate that.
Sure, thank you.
Supervisor Gray, I'm sorry, did you have any
No, I
questions?
didn't.
Okay, Supervisor Franco?
Yeah, what's HIDTA enforcement?
HIDTA is, we are in North Central HIDTA. North Central HIDTA is Wisconsin and Minnesota. HIDTA is high intensity drug trafficking area. So it's the, I don't call it quasi-governmental, but it's the agency that funds clandestine drug use. Currently the chairman of the advisory committee to North Central HIDTA. We stay in pretty close contact with them, attend those meetings, whatnot, but we're very hand in hand with them. We have task force officers in the different federal agencies and so we're very close together.
And what's Wisconsin DMA HLS program?
Yeah,
DMA-HLS.
Oh, that is are you looking at the revenue line?
Yes, yeah.
So that's our Homeland Security grant
Ah,
for our bomb squad specifically. So it gives them, it's like grant funding for training and some types of equipment.
we have one of 5 bomb squads, but it's federally funded by the FBI. They keep us up to speed. Pay for training, I think, what it costs.
thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? Supervisor Phelps, do you have any? Okay. If not,
Move to approve.
So he definitely has.
I just wanna, obviously I looked it up, but I just wanna talk about your last point about the joint, data storage, right? So we talked, I talked with, the chair, Ms. Uhas and Mr. Gantz for the chair of finance, and then I spoke with Ms. Belsky about the future of our body cam and squad camera projects, our project, I should say. So we're currently looking for, we're in negotiations with our current provider to make sure that we have a comparable, and then also with Axon. When you talk about the joint kind of pool instead of silos, I believe it's DA Solis's plan, as it was with his predecessor in KPD. It's on Axon now. Pleasant Prairie is going to Axon. We're seeing counties on Axon, right? So it's a cloud-based storage system that has access. The DA's office will be able to access it. The joint services can access it, right? I did have IT give me a quote for local storage, and we're talking, currently we have over 250 terabytes of data from our current system that has to be migrated if we leave them. And that was roughly about $100,000 price tag just for a temporary storage while that gets migrated. So it's about a 6-month process to migrate it from that to the server and then back the server to the new system. So our plan is next month to give you guys a proposal for 2027's budget, like, because we need to get on top of it, right, in terms of getting under contract, because our contract with utility ends at the end of 26. And in the world of law enforcement, there's a lot of people who have switched vendors, and the rumor mill has it that they will, as soon as they know you're leaving, they will cut you off. And there's a chance we could lose our data, which would be problematic for open records requests and such. So we're going to bring the opportunity of both the vendors. I've had a lot of conversations with county board supervisors in regards to Axon and what it holds and what it does and why we didn't bring that 5 years ago, right? 5 years ago, they didn't have package deals. Everything was a la carte. Utility that we are currently with was a little more advanced in the technology at the time. But if anyone follows the law enforcement technology, Axon has skyrocketed and actually like sucks up every company that is in their way. And they're light years ahead from where they were 5 years ago. And a lot of it is, and what we'll show hopefully in our data, because it's a data-driven society, right, is we're trying to figure out like cost savings, right? Because there's AI components to Axon that will help us streamline some processes, including the open records requests, the officers writing reports, things like that. So when we bring that forward next month, it will be more of this whole binder is all the different quotes for both of the systems. And obviously tasers are a individualized thing. Nobody sells tasers. You can get them off Temu and things like that, right? But for law enforcement tasers, there's only one company, and that's Axon, right? Our taser contract's been expired for a year, right? Is that correct? About a year.
And how much do replacements cost?
1,500,000 for the Taser 7. They don't replace taser. We currently have
You have
Taser
to buy
7s.
new ones.
Yeah. So if something gets hurt, like broken, or if something gets broken, we have to actually send that in. We have to purchase a new device. They no longer service them. It's like your iPhones, right? After so many renditions of it, they just say, we're not updating that, right? So we've been limping ourselves along with our current tasers and making sure that we're using them.
I think we have to look at future projections as well, so that we don't get behind the 8 ball and having to pay for AI a la carte in 5 years, because now we've decided we want to pay the money when it's going to cost more.
Yes.
So we need to look to future expansion, in my opinion,
Well, we're
to save us money in the long
We're going to
run.
bring a 5 and a 10-year contract because
We have,
the 10-year contract, they build in a 7% inflation rate, which is pretty darn good. And our counterparts in Racine County are now renegotiating for a 10-year, and I believe AP is looking at 10-year and adding AI. I don't want to speak.
Does this also include any upgrades
Yes.
or enhancements?
So part of our negotiations and Captain Gonzalez and acting Captain Easter, who just got promoted today,
Congratulations.
have worked, and Sergeant Waldo also, they've worked very diligently on getting all the numbers together. They've ran with this project. They know it front and back. We've had meetings with Axon over and over. We've tried to have meetings with utility. There's some deficiencies in their company at this time. We've had ALPRs, the license plate readers, that have gone, they haven't worked in April. Since April, and they have no fix in sight. So right now we have over a dozen squads that just have the equipment that's not operational, and they're really not talking.
The tool changes,
Right.
do business.
So we have a 90-day out in the contract, but if you take that 90-day out because they're not meeting their services, we don't have anything to fall back on, right? So,
So is this impacting us in 2026?
so I negotiated with Axon that there would be no cost to us. There was a $300,000 number that they wanted
Mhm.
to secure that contract, but I have promised them a crisp $2 bill. And then you think I'm joking? I actually sent him a picture. He said, how much can you give us in 26? And I sent them a $2 bill that was sitting on my desk.
Good.
So I've had those conversations. They want, obviously, I'm sure they have numbers they want to reach in this fiscal year. And not saying that that's the way the board is gonna go, but we're gonna show what it would be to stay with the current contract plus tasers, because again, we're out of our taser contract, and then we'll give you the package for Axon, which is all encompassing of tasers, body cams, squad cams, and all the AI stuff that comes with it.
So looking at our current contracts with the villages, looking at overtime, all that's gonna help with reduction in debt and hopefully increase revenue a little bit to afford this new package.
Yeah, and hopefully, obviously, it's a different pot of money,
Mhm.
contractual versus operational.
Sure.
But anything we can do to try to
Save up the expense.
obviously the cost of doing business, you guys always hear me say, we're not a for-profit agency.
Mhm.
And it's difficult, it's lean, I've been doing budgets now for 8 years, and every year I hear this is gonna be the leanest budget ever. And, and in reality.
It's gone up 9%.
Yeah, and I told Supervisor Gens, Chairman Gens of the Finance Committee, that we would be more than happy, and we'd be more than happy with all of you to sit down line by line and show why we can't decrease, right? Contractuals are contractuals. Operation costs, we don't control necessarily what the cost of insurance is gonna be, what, the benefit package, things like that. So we did our best to really dig down deep and try to give you guys the best numbers we could. And unfortunately, it comes in at a 9.8% increase, but it really truly is a lean budget for the sheriff's office.
But you didn't add the $300,000 for this year, which is good for 2026.
They get a $2.
And-
So thank you. Got
And
the
I would be remiss to say that this is Captain Klinkhammer's last Judiciary Law Finance budget meeting. So do you guys have any questions for Captain Klink?
Oh my gosh, I left my list at home. I'll have to
Well,
send
you
it
can
to
call
him.
him. His
We'll
extension
do
is.
that.
Oh, special meeting.
Yeah.
It was nice to see the roughly $1 million reduction in motorized vehicles. So apparently you're not getting any squads in. Yeah.
That was one of the concessions that we promised and.
Yeah.
But they still need a plan, a 5-year plan, so we're not running into having to buy a whole bunch of vehicles at one time.
But you guys also heard, right, the maintenance cost has gone flat or down, right? And you're considering our fleet has grown exponentially, right? And they're taking care of their vehicles. I actually had one of the guys bring me into work on a Saturday morning, and I was extremely surprised on how clean, and he didn't know he was bringing me. I just called and said, hey, I need an Uber. And it was surprisingly immaculate, and it drove really, really, I was like, wow, this spot has this many miles, and it still was driven like it was finished.
Good.
I do want to give you guys an opportunity. We did bring 2 guests today. Ashley Genther is our Officer Wellness. She's our clinical social worker. And Sergeant Marion is going to be the one who is overseeing the Officer Wellness Program.
Wonderful.
They have spent countless amount of hours together. They're like best friends now because they've developed this program, borrowed, co-furred, and created some of their own things. And I just want, I didn't want them to over prepare. I told them you're probably gonna over prepare, and they may not have any questions, but if you guys have any questions on the Officer Wellness Program, please ask before.
I think Supervisor Morrissey should have some questions.
I got all my questions answered.
Yeah.
Well, share them with us.
Oh, no, they're private.
It's protected information.
Yeah.
No, but honestly, we can't thank you enough for allowing us to have this program, the impact that it's already had without just knowing that it's coming.
Well, why don't they share that, what they've been working on and where you're currently at?
Yeah.
There's one of
Sergeant
them.
Mayor, not enthusiastic about public speaking.
Here, you guys can come sit at these chairs and present away, ladies.
It's a
Big step in the right direction, so it's important that we hear about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sergeant Mayor, I'll let you start. I'll back you up.
I guess the main thing that we focused on is putting together a policy that governs how we handle our response and overall reaction to things like critical incidents or like the cumulative stresses of the job. The peer support is a huge component of that. So that was kind of like building block number one. For the higher, we're not counselors, so.
Well, so I am.
And that's where Dr. Geffner comes in. We are just there as peer support. We have some very basic training in stress management, just, listening skills, stuff like that. So when it reaches a point where we can't be of assistance, like it's way above where we're at, we refer people out. So some of that is critical incident based, we respond to bad crashes and crime scenes. So the other element is debriefs. So Dr. Geffner, in addition to somebody from peer support who's specially trained to run these, Dr. Geffner comes in and creates a safe space for people to discuss the impact.
Yeah, and if I can speak on that a little bit. So some of the really important things was preventative, right? Preventative services. We know that 30% of our first responders struggle with PTSD, anxiety, and/or depression. That's a induced number, right? They have to come forward and say that, and they're not going to. So we know that's pretty low. When I do my research on things, I'm a big nerd, so I research a lot. What I've come to find is that 85% of our first responders actually struggle with symptoms of like mental illness, right? That's a really big number, but it comes from, 85%. It's a huge number. And it's kind of scary, honestly, but it comes from a place of, obviously there's home life, but then there's work. And what happens is we're exposed over and over to trauma. We're humans first before we do this job, and our brain cannot handle that, right? What we want with this program is, one, if someone's already struggling, we need to get them that help right away. And that's a systems thing. I can go on forever, so I'm going to try to keep myself short, but that's a systems thing, right? Like if our deputies are better, they're patrolling better, then our communities are better for that as well, right? And we have to start somewhere, so we got to start with the individuals. But even furthermore than that, it's the preventative services, right? So our debriefs after critical are so important. Why is that important? When we're in a high stress situation, our prefrontal cortex completely shuts down. We do not have the ability now to process that like we would a regular event in our day. The first line to combat PTSD, anxiety, or depression is actually talking about that, but in a calm environment when some time has passed, right? So I am CISM trained, meaning that I have a certificate that says I can run these debriefs, but you have to wait a certain amount of time. That's for the body to come back down, that cortisol to hopefully leave your system to be able to approach these things. But when we start to talk about it with that prefrontal cortex back online, it starts to piece together the factual information with the emotional, and the brain, it works with the biology of the brain to store it away in the right place, right? So our debriefs are so incredibly important. And we've been working really, really hard on making sure that our deputies know that, and that they're going to start happening a lot more. Our first thing really was the policy, because we need peer support. We need people, we need that help, right? We need everybody to kind of come together and see. Also, they've been fantastic, and it's just been an honor to be here to see like how many people are on board with this, because it's needed, right? We don't want to lose anybody. We should not lose anybody to suicide in these careers, and yet it happens more often than actually line of duty deaths, right? So it's a lot of preventatives that we're trying to do, but we did just finally get our draft done for our peer support, which is really, really exciting. We have run some debriefs already as well, so that's really cool. And then we just have a lot of things in place. I'm blessed to work with different departments and have seen this start, and so I'm very excited to be here and to help build it as well.
Wonderful.
And thus far, the feedback from corrections and, sworn personnel has been extremely positive. So they're against the stigma. They're excited for an opportunity like this.
Maybe you could come back in February then and give us an update,
I'd love to.
presentation and where you're currently at and, how it's going and where we can help.
That would be fantastic.
That would be really fantastic. Yes, thank you guys.
Yeah, do you have questions? Anybody? No?
Oh, you took it easy on me
Okay.
today. My heart
Is
was
your-
right. My watch is about to be like, you gotta calm down.
Okay, I'll ask you a question.
Oh, boy.
Are you the daughter of Tom?
So I'm not, but
Oh,
can I
okay.
be really honest in this room? I've apologized. I've been like, people have been like, who is this? And they're angry with me. I'm like, I don't know who that is.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not. My maiden name is
just-
Eve.
that's
This
an
is
unusual-
Geffner is my married last name. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, I apologize for that.
No worries, no
That's a
worries.
bad thing.
We're glad to have you on board.
Thank you.
And we're glad that this program has finally gotten off the ground because it was something Chief Deputy was talking about quite a bit.
Yeah, she's pretty
And,
amazing at this.
Yeah.
I was gonna make a budgetary comment. I know you were comparing the adopted budget for 2025 with the proposed budget, correct? If the numbers are accurate at the end of the year, you're only talking about a $300,000 differential, which is less than 1%.
That's correct.
So the budget, yeah. So if it's anywhere remotely close to what you're projecting, you're talking about a less than 1% increase. So
Yes.
as opposed to 9.82, which is, so,
Mhm.
okay. Just wanted to point that out.
Are there any other questions for the sheriff? And I will entertain that motion and I have a closing statement before everybody leaves.
Motion to approve.
There's a second.
But
Youth and Governance
I
Committee?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? You are good to go forward. I just want to thank all the department leaders for your detailed presentations and your continued service to the people of Kenosha County. Tonight's discussion has highlighted how each of the departments, the sheriff's office, juvenile intake, district attorney, and victim witness, and the clerk of courts continues to adapt and innovate in the face of increasing demands. Whether it's managing digital evidence, supporting victims, rehabilitating youth, or ensuring justice is served fairly and efficiently, every one of these teams plays a vital role in maintaining the safety and integrity of our county. The budgets presented tonight reflect responsible planning and a clear understanding of the challenges ahead. They prioritize public safety, accountability, and fairness while keeping levy growth within reason. On behalf of this committee, I want to thank all of you, department heads, staff, committee members, for your thoughtful participation and commitment to this process. At this time, I'll entertain, we already did the motion to approve, so I'll thank you for your hard work, collaboration, and dedication to the citizens of Kenosha County, and I will ask for an adjournment.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.